It started on a night that felt too still. The kind of silence that presses on your chest and makes every tick of the clock sound like a warning. I sat curled up on the couch, half watching a show I didn't care about, my legs wrapped in a blanket that had stopped feeling warm hours ago. Noah had said it was just a short trip, a client dinner, one night, maybe two. Nothing to worry about. Except it was past midnight now. My phone was quiet, and the longer that silence stretched, the louder my thoughts became. Something in me, call it instinct, or that sixth sense women are cursed with, whispered, something's wrong. I tried to ignore it at first. I laughed to myself, said out loud, "Stop overthinking, Lyra. He's fine." But my voice didn't sound like mine, so I picked up the phone. 2 rings, 3. Then, hello? A woman's voice, soft, calm, and definitely not mine. My blood turned to glass. "Oh," she said, almost cheerful. "He's in the shower right now. Who's calling?" I swallowed hard. His wife. There was a pause. One of those long, cold ones that feel like a knife sliding between your ribs. Then, click. The line went dead. For a moment, I just sat there, phone still pressed to my ear, listening to the dial tone like it might explain something. "He's in the shower." The words looped in my mind until they didn't sound like English anymore. I stared at the wedding photo across the room, our perfect smiles frozen under the cheap living room light. It looked like a picture of strangers. I called again, once, twice, voicemail. By the 3rd try, I couldn't tell if my hands were shaking from rage or fear. I didn't cry. Not yet. Crying means accepting it's true, and I wasn't ready for that. The next morning, I didn't wake up so much as rise from the wreckage of my thoughts. Noah still hadn't called. No message, no excuse. Just silence, again. I made coffee. I didn't drink, and told myself maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe a coworker answered by mistake. Maybe I was being crazy. But the voice I heard, it wasn't corporate. It was comfortable, intimate, and I knew. That's the thing about instinct. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And if you ignore it long enough, it screams. Hours later, the phone finally rang. Noah's name flashed on the screen. I took a breath, hit answer. "Hey babe," he said, voice smooth as glass. "Sorry. Bad signal earlier. Everything okay?" Too smooth, too measured. You can hear guilt if you listen close enough. It lives in the pauses. "Who answered your phone last night?" I asked. Silence. Then a short laugh. "What? No one. Maybe hotel staff." "Hotel staff calls you babe now?" I said quietly. The silence that followed was louder than any answer. I hung up. Not out of anger, but clarity. I opened my laptop. My hands moved automatically. His travel records, expense statements, company calendar. And there it was. The hotel. The dates. A second guest listed under his booking. Sienna Hale. The name hit like a spark in gasoline. Elegant, polished. A name that belonged in glossy magazines and whispered scandals. I whispered it once, just to taste it. Sienna Hale. And I smiled. Because now I had a name. By the time Noah got home the next day, I was ready. The house smelled of vanilla candles. My face calm, my eyes colder than I thought possible. He walked in holding flowers, the guilty man's cliché. "Hey honey," he said softly, "I missed you." "Sit," I told him. He hesitated. He knew that tone. The one that sounds like softness, but isn't. "How was your trip?" I asked, stirring my tea. I slid a few printed pages across the table. Receipts, hotel confirmations, expense reports. "Suite 304, I said evenly. "Guess your meeting ran late." He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. I'd already taken that power away. When he finally spoke, his voice cracked. "Lyra, it was a mistake. It didn't mean anything." "Mistake?" I said, leaning back. "That's funny, because it looks like a pattern." He blinked fast. "You're overreacting." "Overreacting," I repeated, almost laughing. "You had another woman answer your phone, and I'm overreacting?" He tried to stand, but I gestured to the chair again. "Sit down, Noah." My voice was so calm, it scared even me. I reached into the drawer and pulled out an envelope. Divorce papers, I said. Already signed. You can add your signature now or tomorrow morning. Either way, it's over. He stared at the papers like they were written in a language he couldn't read. You can't end everything over one mistake, he said. One? I smiled. You ended this the moment she answered your phone. He slammed a hand against the table. You'll regret this. No, I said softly. You will. I slid another document toward him, a summary of all the company transactions he'd charged to his corporate card. Did you think I wouldn't notice? I asked. The dinners, the hotel stays, the jewelry? His eyes went wide. You wouldn't. I already did, I interrupted. That was when his shoulders slumped, the fight left his eyes, and for the first time in years, I saw him for what he really was, small. He tried again, voice trembling. Lyra, please. We built a life together. I looked straight at him. No, Noah. I built it. You just lived in it. That line landed harder than I expected. His mouth fell open, but nothing came out. I stood up slowly, picking up my coat and purse. I already transferred my half of the savings, I said calmly. You might want to start explaining those expenses to your boss before HR does. He looked at me then, desperate, broken, unprepared for a woman who no longer begged. I turned toward the door, my hand on the knob. Next time you cheat, I said without looking back, make sure she doesn't answer your phone. Then I walked out. The air outside hit me like a baptism, cool, sharp, cleansing. I didn't look back. I got in the car, started the engine, and drove. No music, no crying, just the sound of my heartbeat, syncing with the road. For the first time in years, the silence felt like peace, not punishment. Months passed. I moved to a small coastal town 3 hours away. No one here knew me as his wife. Just Lyra, the woman who came back from something most people don't. Every morning, I sat at the same cafe overlooking the ocean, writing pieces of myself back into existence. The barista knew my order by heart, black coffee, no sugar. He'd smile, say, rough day, and I'd smile back, not anymore. One afternoon, my phone buzzed on the table. Unknown number. The preview read, I miss you. Please talk to me, N. I stared at it for a second. Then I laughed, a deep, genuine laugh that shook the quiet air. I deleted the message and turned my phone face down. I didn't need closure. I was closure. People think revenge is about destruction. It's not. It's about balance. It's not the shouting or the chaos. It's the quiet after. When they finally understand you've stopped playing their game. I used to think silence meant weakness. Now I know it's power. The kind that doesn't need witnesses. I took out my journal and wrote, Revenge isn't about hurting them. It's about remembering who you were before they broke you. When I looked up, the ocean glittered under the afternoon sun. For a moment, I could almost hear the tide whispering back. Steady, endless, forgiving. Noah Turner lost a wife that night. But I found myself. And that, I've learned, is the sweetest revenge of all. You see, sometimes the greatest revenge isn't chaos or confrontation. It's peace. It's the calm that comes when you stop chasing answers from people who already showed you their truth. I didn't win by breaking him. I won by walking away whole, by rebuilding the woman he thought he destroyed. Because the real power isn't in making them sorry. It's in becoming someone who no longer needs their apology. So if you're ever standing where I stood, in the silence after betrayal, remember this: don't burn yourself to prove their fire was real. Just step out of the ashes and rise.